what to do with my hair, but whatever. It's just, it is what it is. What's up, you guys? So welcome to this video. I've been meaning to make this one for a while. I have done a video on my fitness journey and my health journey in the past, but that was whenever I first started my channel. This is gonna be a really long video, so grab some popcorn, grab a drink, grab some snacks, and I hope you guys enjoy it. I don't have a script for this. I'm just gonna be completely open and honest about my fitness journey, so I hope you guys enjoy. Of course, I always appreciate the thumbs up, comments below. It helps the channel out. Subscribe if you're new, and let's get into it. Okay, not gonna lie, I put some hairspray in my hair. All right, so thinking back to when I was younger, apparently whenever I was a little kid, I didn't like to eat, but that changed in about like the 3rd or 4th grade, and I started to eat a lot. So the first time that I can remember ever having thoughts, negative thoughts about my body, seeing that I was bigger than other kids, was about the 4th grade. I did get made fun of here and there when I was in elementary school. Wasn't anything crazy, but it was little comments about being fat, or, you know, jokes poking fun at what I was wearing, or, you know, just how I looked. That stuff hits. It hits hard. And I can't imagine any of you guys that have been bullied or are being bullied, and just those, even those little comments can take a toll on you. So that's whenever I first noticed my body. Whenever I first realized I've got some extra fat around my midsection, my cheeks are chubby. I'm gonna try and find some pictures. You know, I wasn't crazy overweight, I wasn't crazy unhealthy, I was a happy kid. I enjoyed food, I enjoyed life, I enjoyed my family. You know, I went out and I played, I was active. I guess I ate a little too much. You know, my favorite food when I was growing up was mac and cheese. I don't come from a vegan family, and you know, mac and cheese was always my favorite. The stuff with the squeezy cheese that probably isn't even real cheese. Moving into middle school, I became more aware of what clothes looked like. I really wanted to impress the boys, but at the same time, I was a little bigger. I wasn't obese. I tried to stay active, but being a little heavier, that's when activity gets a little harder. I hated running. I didn't like exerting myself. Whenever you had to run the mile for school, and you would run the laps, and the PE teacher would give you a stick every time you ran, I was always one of the last to finish. I hated it. I often would cry. Because I just hated it so much, and I hated running, and then I hated watching all the other kids finish and then just watching me walk to finish my mile. It got a little harder for me to be positive about my body and enjoy just things in general, because I was so self-conscious. So that I went on my first diet in the 8th grade, and it was to lose weight before we went on a cruise with my family, and I went on the Atkins Diet. And if you guys don't know, the Atkins Diet is just low carb. I thought it was the lowest carbs possible. So I was reading nutrition facts on everything, and no carbs. So my family would order pizza, I would take off the toppings. So I would just eat a pile of grease and cheese and pepperoni and whatever else was on the pizza. I would eat that. I would eat string cheese. I ate a lot of bacon. I ate a lot of sliced deli meat. I didn't eat any vegetables, didn't eat any fruit. I just wanted to lose weight. So I weighed myself every week. I remember losing like 5 pounds in the first week. This was awesome. And if you know you're sensitive to hearing about weight, I am going to talk about my weight, so just be warned about that. I remember being at about 148 pounds at that time, and then I dieted to where I got to, gosh, I want to say in the 130s, and felt so much better. And then we went on the cruise, and of course, whenever you go through a period of restriction, I ate a lot. You know, I don't remember going crazy overboard, but I did eat a lot, and I gained a lot of that back. Going right back into high school, I think I went right back to where it was. I do remember reaching about 150, and I think that's the most I've ever been, and that was a nightmare for me. Maybe freshman and sophomore year. Anyway, so I started focusing more on the scale. I did get into tennis, so I was more active, but I didn't eat. I didn't eat enough. I thought that eating less was the key to, you know, losing weight and being fit. I became more and more obsessed with weight what I looked like. Put a lot of emphasis on what I looked like. I did have a lot of great friends, and you know, high school was a good experience. I enjoyed it. I had friends, I had fun, I loved playing tennis, but there was always that underlying issue of what I looked like and where my weight was at. And so going into, I think it was going into junior year, I worked at the front desk at their tiny little gym, and it was slow. There was hardly ever, there was maybe one member in there at a time, and I would go through periods of 3 or 4 hours when nobody was in there. So I started walking on the treadmill during my shift, and I would walk and walk and walk. Then I would eat a protein bar for lunch, either that or I would get the sweet onion chicken teriyaki from Subway. Breakfast, I don't know, I think I would eat like plain oatmeal or something, or a banana. And then dinner, I would usually eat rice. I tried to stay super low fat. I didn't do Atkins anymore. I was trying to stay super low fat. For whatever reason, I got into my mind that fat was bad. I would eat things like rice cakes with fat-free whipped cream and bananas. That would be like a big time treat dessert. And then during the school week, I don't remember, this is probably a good thing, I don't remember eating because I didn't put too much emphasis on food quite yet. But I did avoid fats whenever I was conscious of it. I eat a lot of lean cuisines because they had 6 grams of fat or less. In the summer, going into my junior year, I believe, I lost about 30 pounds, like fast. I lost weight so fast because I went from, I guess, eating too much and being okay active to playing tennis, walking on the treadmill, and then I eventually started running, and I was running every day, but I was on the treadmill for at least an hour. So doing that and then being very low calorie, I would assume. I lost about 30 pounds in the summer between that school year and the next one. So I went back to school and everyone was like, oh my goodness, you've lost so much weight, you look so good. My family was commenting on it, my friends were, everyone was asking what I did, and I really didn't try that hard. And I know it sounds bad to say that because I'm not promoting this in any way. It wasn't done in a healthy way, obviously. But I lost a ton of weight, but that became who I was. I started to focus even more on my, you know, how I looked and how my clothes fit, and trying to get into a smaller and smaller size, and weighing as little as possible. There was a ton of emphasis on the scale. And this is when, I think this is whenever it kind of shifted. When I got more focused on just being skinny. When my mentality started to get pretty unhealthy. So I was about 120 pounds. I was very light. That, mind you, 120 pounds, I had no muscle. I was playing tennis, but I wasn't doing, I think we had a weightlifting session with our tennis class like once a week, and we would do leg press, and I would try and bench, but I couldn't bench the bar. I had no muscle. I was 120 pounds. I was 100, and at my leanest this year, I'm gonna put a picture up for you guys. At my leanest this year, I was 118, which is very light for me, but you can see the difference in how my body looked having actual muscle. Started weighing myself every morning, and my day would be determined by what that number said. And this is the time when it starts breaking my heart to think about where my mentality was at towards my body, because this continued into senior year. Again, had lots of friends, I enjoyed high school, but there was always this little cloud looming over me about my weight. I would yo-yo here and there in the 120 to 125 area, but I really wanted to stay 120 or possibly go even less. So I started running every morning or in the evening, but I would try and run before school. I would run about 45 minutes. Sometimes I would run the whole way, sometimes I would walk/run, but I wanted to go for at least that amount of time. And then I played tennis, and I had a tennis class that would meet, I think, 3 times a week, and that was one of my core classes. And then I would have tennis practice after school. So I was very active and not eating near enough, trying to maintain this weight, just the weight, and trying to get as small as I could. And there was one time my senior year that I had the flu, and I remember getting down to like 116, maybe 115 pounds, and I was like, yes, like that part of me was happy about seeing that on the scale. I was physically sick. So that can give you a little indication of where my head was at in terms of weight and my body image. After I graduated high school, Matt and I met. I just think back to, I'm gonna put some pictures in here for you guys, because Matt was like this little skinny skater guy, like punk looking guy, totally my type at the time. I mean, he still is, obviously. We started hanging out and we would go out to eat and we would play tennis together. He played tennis and I don't know, we would just hang out and it was awesome. But the eating, always when you get into a relationship, eating can be a struggle, especially if you're restricted before, because I just wanted to enjoy myself. So I started gaining a little bit of weight. I did not like that. I've always had a fear, I guess, of being bigger than my significant other, and Matt being a tiny guy as he was at the time, I was really worried about weighing more than him. And it's so crazy to say that, because of course he wasn't and isn't with me because of my weight, and I put so much emphasis on that and so much pressure on myself to stay skinny. And I wanted to stay skinny. I just wanted to be as little as possible. And I don't know why it started, but yeah, we started going out to eat. I started slowly gaining weight. I would get up to about 125 and then I would try and diet back down. I eventually joined Planet Fitness. I remember Planet Fitness. I would be one of those girls on the elliptical or on the treadmill, and I would be on there 2 hours a day. Stop back by there after. Sometimes I would go in the morning and do their little circuit workout, which is where you do a machine for a minute and then you do some kind of like step aerobic type thing for a minute, and you just do that and it's only 30 minutes. I didn't lift heavy weights. Didn't want to get bulky, so I didn't lift heavy, and then I kept doing my elliptical. And this is the time that I started bouncing from diet to diet to diet. I tried to go back to low carb. I couldn't stick to it. I wasn't officially vegetarian, but I started avoiding meat because I was afraid it was going to make me fat, and there were no ethical connections to it. I would eat oatmeal for every meal. Although I love oatmeal, I would eat it just plain for every meal. I would eat rice only for meals. I'm trying to think of all the different things that I did, and just crazy shit that I did. After a couple years of dating, I started going up in weight. I couldn't maintain the crazy low calories. I couldn't maintain really low weight. I started food journaling. That's whenever I got into my FitnessPal. I started using my FitnessPal just purely for tracking calories, and I would try and stay under 1,000 a day. I thought the less you eat, the better it is. So I would take my snack with me to ACC, and it would be, I think, an apple and some string cheese. And I would try and not eat for as long as possible because I was trying to keep my calories as low as I could. Some days I would come in around 800 calories. I don't know how I functioned. I was having mood swings, so my calories were very restricted. But I would start, this is when I started, it wasn't full out binge eating, but this is when I started going through periods of excessive overeating. So whenever family would come over on the weekends or we would go somewhere, I would use it as an excuse just to eat anything and everything. I didn't call it a cheat meal. I didn't, go into it planning I was gonna eat a whole bunch, but just being so restricted, I think it's hard. I mean, it's impossible not to. Your body needs those calories. So I started just eating a ton. And this was once or twice a week, and then it would go up to 3 or 4 times a week. I started gaining weight, and this is whenever I started yo-yoing real bad. I would get up to about 130 and just cry. Like, absolutely cry. I remember whenever I started reaching the 130 mark, and I was like, this is it. I'm just gonna be fat again. I'm gonna be fat for my entire life. And so I did more cardio, and I tried to restrict my diet again. And this went on and on for years. And God bless Matt, because he has stuck through all of this. All of my crazy diets, all of the mood swings, just the irritability from being hungry, like hungry to the bone all the time. I went and worked retail, worked at a preschool, and then went back to THRC and Still was doing the cardio thing. I actually started teaching a cycle class. Teaching cycle was awesome. Anybody here that's watching this video has ever taken a cycle class of mine, either at PHRC or Metroflex, let me know in the comments, because that was so much fun teaching. I started doing classes and I would do cycle. Before I taught it, I would do cycle, and then I would go straight to power pump, and then I would do Zumba. So I was working out for 3 hours at a time, still restricting my calories. Didn't want to get bulky, you know? I just didn't want to get bulky. I didn't want to lift. And I just wanted to lose fat. That's all I wanted to do. Finally, praise the Lord, I hired my first personal trainer, Josh Hiller, and I will forever be thankful for him for introducing me to lifting heavy. So I told him my concerns. On the one hand, this was a couple years ago, whenever CrossFit started to kind of come into the limelight, and social media started to grow, and the stronger female physique started to come out of the woodwork. And so I saw these girls, and I saw Dana Lynn Bailey this was like 4 or 5 years ago. I saw a picture of her and I was like, that's disgusting. That is so gross. She looks like a man. Why would you ever want to look like that? I told Josh that I said I want to be a badass. I want to do what these girls are doing, but I don't want to get bulky, you know? We would do super simple. We started squatting. I had never squat a heavy bar ever in my life. We started squatting. We started working on bench press. We started working on, I didn't do deadlifts until several months in. Started working on like wide grip lat pulls. I wanted to be able to do pull-ups eventually. So I started developing a passion for lifting and getting strong. I still want to do my cardio though. I still want to do cardio, and this is whenever I got on a low carb craze. Like I did in the Atkins diet, I stopped eating fruit. I didn't eat a lot of veggies. Things like Greek yogurt, I would eat a lot of Greek yogurt. I started taking protein powder. I would make like protein mug cakes with peanut butter. Really just low carb stuff. I think my calories, they weren't crazy low, but my carbs were low, and I just didn't feel my best. Started doing cheat meals. This is when my binging started. I would be really restricted throughout the week. I would try and keep my carbs as low as possible. Like, it was a game to try and keep them as low as I possibly could. Once a week, I would have a cheat meal. And I would spend the whole week fantasizing about this cheat meal. I would think about the appetizer, the entree, the dessert, anything else. So usually we'd make like an event of it. We would get all of our friends together, and we would go out to eat. And typically, you know, you can keep it relatively moderate if you do a cheat meal. But we would order appetizer. I would eat a ton of that. We would order entree, of course. I'd eat all of that. We'd order dessert. I would eat that. And then I started eating on my own. After we would go home, or after the cheat meal was over, I would keep eating. And it was just this mind was completely turned off feeling of trying to get in as much food as I could, and anything and everything I could get my hands on. I would finish a whole box of cereal, massive amounts of nut butters with animal crackers, or just whatever was left over from the cheat meal. I would just be shoveling in to the point to where I couldn't move. And I would feel so awful the next day. Like I was hungover, like bloated, stomach is upset, and then I would get emotional because I felt like I lost control. So the following week I would start back again and be even better. So I would be really diligent with my workouts. I was still doing all my cardio. I would still do my little triple threat, the cycle and Zumba and power pump, and I was training with Josh twice a week. So I was working out a ton. I was obsessed with working out, and be really strict during the week, and then I would just binge for my cheat meal. And then it started turning into a cheat day.